Hello, I'm Dr. Andrew Missick, and I recently put a video out in this brochure I made, 10 reasons why you should not vote for State Rep Ernest Bales. The alternative, or an alternative, is me. I'll run for Texas State Legislature. I want to be a servant in this community and represent its interests and its welfare in Austin and help people here have a future in this House district, because people are being ran out because of the destructive policies of Ernest Bales. He's up to it. I have several videos. You can check out the video on 10 reasons why you should not vote for Ernest Bales, but there's 10 reasons why you should vote for me. Top 10 reasons you should vote for Dr. Andrew Missick for State Rep House District 18. This is a Trump election. Dr. Missick, me, is the MAGA candidate. I strongly support President Donald J. Trump and the Make America Great Again agenda. My opponent, Ernest Bales, is a rhino, Republican name only, and never Trumper. Actually, he's worse than that. He's what's called a secret sleeper. He's a Democrat who runs on the Republican ticket. So he deceives the voters to thinking he's a conservative Republican, goes to Austin and advances far-left liberal Democrat policies. That's what he does. I want to say, we need men of courage now. I want to say that President Trump won the 2020 election. He won decisively. The election was fraudulently stolen from the American people. We have to confront the issue of massive voter fraud and restore election integrity. The sinister forces of the deep state must be destroyed and defeated. Our ruling elites are Marxist, totalitarian, statist of the ilk of Ernest Bales. We must defeat these forces of evil in order to preserve our Constitution and our liberties. The left wants to strip us of our freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and our right to peacefully assemble, our right to petition our government, and our rights to bear arms. We must take a bold stand for our Constitution and Bill of Rights against those who seek to enslave us. That's what they're trying to do. These communists, the Democrat Party, they're trying to create a totalitarian police state where they crush all dissent, and they want to punish people for not voting for them. We see it happening right now all around us. Why is it happening? Part of it's because we have too many cowards in leadership. I am a combatant. I served in war. There's a place for it. But we don't need violence. We just need men of courage to speak up. We have a constitutional system. I don't understand why people just can't take a bold stand and stand on their convictions. If we would at least do that, we wouldn't, or have men and women who would do that, we wouldn't be in the state we're in the country. So I look at what happened in the stealing election in 2020. They don't even talk about it. Cowards. The fiction of January 6th. We're not trying to shine light of truth on January 6th. Tucker Carlson was fired from Fox for doing so, just trying to release video of what really happened. They have a false narrative. They want to keep you deceived. Jesus said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." I know people that love them some Ernest Bales, they might get offended. But everything that I've written here is factual. Read it and weep. Dr. Missick, me, I've served in the military for 30 years with 2 combat deployments to Iraq. I'm a disabled veteran with service-related injuries. I took hostile fire and I endured hardships that soldiers at war face. I gained valuable leadership skills through military service and the hardships that I endured in a war zone where I was fighting to keep our nation safe and free. Bales has no military service, probably not man enough to serve. I, Dr. Missick, served on the military border mission for 4 years, and I have thorough knowledge and experience on the border, and I know what must be done for border security. So they had this big town hall event after this mass murderer, illegal alien cartel member was around just indiscriminately killing people. And it's hard for people to believe how bad the border problem is. But it's like, I know the border intimately. I lived on the border. I was at the border with my soldiers during 4 years. I actually lived there for 3 years. The last year I would go down there for a few months or a few weeks at a time. We had Operation Guardian Support, and then Operation Lone Star, and Operation Secure Texas, other operations on the border I was involved with. I know the border issue, and I know how to solve our border problems. And Ernest Bales, Open Borders Bales, is a part of the problem. you're concerned about our border and our immigration issues, you can't vote for Ernest Bales. Open Borders Bales is not a good choice because he's contributed to the problems that we are facing in this community, as we'll talk about in just a moment. I lived on the border for 3 years. The border community has won a wall because walls work. I remember they're finally building Trump's wall in McAllen. And the city of La Jolla is like, hey, why are you giving McAllen a wall? We need a wall too. One day I was on the border and I stopped at a convenience store. I was like, I don't know, just try to be polite, make small talk conversation. How's your day today? Oh, normal, there's gunfire and, sirens blaring and lights flashing. Typical day. People don't want to live like that. These are Texans. These Tejanos communities, they're our fellow Texans. Without the wall, these communities are not safe. I'm talking to Border Patrol agents down there. It's about Brownsville. It's like you should have seen what Brownsville was like. It's still the poorest city in the country. They built the wall in Brownsville. Now Brownsville is becoming safe and prosperous and is developing. Why? Because the wall. Cartels control the border. You have the wall there. You're keeping our Tejano, Texas Hispanic community safe so that they can live free as an American, enjoy the American dream. Safety, security, prosperity, that's what we want, and that's what a wall brings about. I want to recommend that you watch the interview between Tucker Carlson and Robert Kennedy Jr. I will not. Robert Kennedy Jr., I kind of respect him as a moderate, but he's not pro-life. He's a Democrat, so I'd never support his politics and policies. But he is a moderate, and it's a good conversation. I wish the Democrat Party as a whole was more moderate the way Robert Kennedy Jr. is, instead of Marxists as they are now. So Kennedy went down to the border. He goes down there and he's like, we don't need a wall. We need to be welcoming and let all the nations just flow through. And then he saw the reality, and it's like, well, we need border security. We need border security. So I know through work and observation, I know what policies work and what doesn't in securing our nation at the border. So I saw problems with the border. I saw what policies improve them. Right now, our border is wide open. Women and children are being sexually trafficked. All the migrants, illegal aliens, each one of them pays the Mexican drug cartel at least $10,000 a head to illegally enter the United States. The Mexican drug cartels control the border. You don't get through without paying them $10,000, sometimes more, at least $10,000. So you kind of wonder, oh, these poor, desperate people. It's like, well, they came up with $10,000. That'd be hard for a lot of Americans to do. The Mexican drug cartels, they extract a final payment from virtually every woman illegally entering our country, the rape trees. Talking to soldiers about this just yesterday. Rape trees at the crossing point on the Mexican side of the border. Sometimes our soldiers can see this going on, nothing they can do about it. But what happens is that they're taking preparing to take a group across the border, and they line up the women at the rape trees, and they forcibly run out the women to extract a final payment. And the coyotes, human traffickers, they have to service them. They're human traffickers. They get raped by each one of them before crossing the river. Mexican fentanyl brought across our open border kills 100,000 Americans, mostly teenagers and young people, every year. What I say is shocking, it's ugly. People can't believe. I've been at the border, I know it, and I'm not lying to you. In fact, it's probably far worse than I'm describing right here. Just the amount of people coming across, like 250,000 a month. And it's hard for people to comprehend it, that this is going on, but it is. And it's just the facts. And like I said, RFK didn't believe it. He didn't want a wall. He's an anti-Trumper, and he saw the reality. It's like, okay, we need to solve our border problem. Sadly, this chaos is going to reign supreme until Biden's removed from office. Talk about these horrific things. You need to realize these are the effects of the policies that Ernest Bales and the Democrat Party support. We must secure our border. Trump had it secured. We need to restore border policies. The incumbent, Ernest Bales, campaigns as a conservative Republican but legislates in Austin as a liberal Democrat. When elected, Dr. Missick will be a solid and reliable vote for conservative policies. I oppose the impeachment of Ken Paxton, but as long as legislation is true to our conservative Republican values, I'll support it. Ernest Bales does not support Republican conservative agenda, despite what his signs say. He has a solid left-wing voting record. Dr. Missick, me, I support school choice. School choice empowers every Texas parent to be able to send their children to Christian or private schools if they so choose, while supporting our public schools and our teachers, public school teachers. We need to put the interests of our children above the dangerous and harmful left-wing so-called teachers' unions and improve the quality of education, create new opportunities for our students to learn and to succeed. One way you do that is through school choice. So I support school choice. Dr. Missick, me, I'm a pro-life activist. Although he campaigned as pro-life, Ernest Bales spent his first term in office at the State House advocating for and supporting pro-abortion legislation. Dr. Missick is a pro-life activist, and I often preach against abortion. It's biblical, and I preach the Bible, and so therefore I preach against abortion. I, Dr. Missick, will confront the Colony Ridge Torrona's Houston and hold this developer accountable for damage being done by them to our community. There are reliable reports of environmental damage through the inadequate drainage system at Torrano's that's causing flooding. There are reports of pollution of our creeks and rivers with raw sewage from Torrano's. Residents, mostly illegal aliens, being settled in the sanctuary district created with the help of Ernest Bales, complain that they're being exploited and abused. I've heard this directly from people Hispanics who are talking to me, representing this community. The destruction being wrought by this developer needs to be brought to an end. We cannot have poor drainage system. This family that's behind this development, they have a lot of money, and they're going to, when I get into office, they're going to correct the drainage problem. They're going to do what they did. They're going to fix it so that we don't have flooding in our community. You made a mess, you clean it up. Number one. If that's the least I do, I'm going to do that. I'm not going to allow residents in our community, legal or illegal, to be exploited. It's not going to have it happen. I don't condone illegal immigration, but I'm not going to allow people to be exploited in our area. We need to enforce immigration law, hold these people accountable if they committed crimes, but it's our Christian obligation to keep people from being exploited, vulnerable people being exploited. I will not tolerate cartel activity in our community. There are reliable reports that the Mexican drug cartels have set up shop at Torrano's and are operating freely. The Mexican drug cartels engage in human, drug, sex, and child trafficking. This might be something Ernest Bales is willing to tolerate in our communities, but I'm going to put a swift end to it. We cannot have the Mexican drug cartels operating in our community. Maybe they get a wink and a nod from Ernest Bales, but I'm not going to tolerate it. I'm not going to tolerate it. It speaks about his character, doesn't it? Lack of thereof. As a manager of a ranch in Shepherd, Texas, I will support our farmers and work to reduce the exploitative property taxes. Property taxes are too high. They're onerous. I will work to reduce property taxes. The powers that be aren't willing to bring down the property taxes to reasonable rates. Then Dr. Missick, me, I will lead a movement to abolish property taxes. That's where we're going to go. It's like, look, I understand being a patriotic citizen and paying your taxes, but this is excessive, exploitative, onerous, and we need to bring these rates down. If they don't want to bring them down, then we're going to have a movement to get rid of property taxes. It's an issue that has to be tackled. We should encourage and support our property owners, not tax them off their land. Isn't that terrible that Ernest Bales is taxing people, property tax of oblivion, at the same time he creates a sanctuary district, and our whole district under him is a sanctuary district. So these illegal aliens are able to procure property, even though they are being exploited. And yet, we're being robbed of our property as, people have been in this area for generations by these oppressive, exploitative property taxes. It's not right. That's the kind of leadership Ernest Bales provides. As a spiritual leader, Dr. Missick recognizes that what matters most is our people and our families. Ernest Bales' destructive policies are damaging our communities. Many people are giving up and moving away from the communities that their families were part of for generations. Ernest Bales has bluntly stated that he prostitutes himself, as he puts it, to the lobbyists and special interest groups. We need a leader and a representative that puts the needs of the people in our community first and isn't willing to sell out the way Ernest Bell does. Ernest Bell sells out for a quick buck. Dr. Missick served in our Army, first as a combatant, but then as a chaplain. As a chaplain, I minister to our soldiers. I pastor King of Saints Church here in Cleveland. There are many problems besetting our nation. However, fundamentally, we face a spiritual crisis. America needs to turn back to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Because of so-called demographic change and policies of Ernest Bell's, a lot of churches, historic churches, have been around for decades or sometimes over a century. Pastors that work in this community for decades. Churches are closing down because of what Ernest Bell's is doing in our community, driving citizens away and bringing in non-citizens. This is a pivotal election. Our nation is in decline. The world needs an American spiritual renewal. Well, the world needs an American renewal. It's kind of sad. I was looking at, they have these space probes landing on the moon. Russia and India and China, they're taking the lead in the space race and leaving America behind. Now you have these BRICS countries, because the dollar is so weak under the Democrats, it's failing. They're trying to create an alternative reserve currency for the world, marginalizing America as it declines. That's what the Democrat Party and Ernest Bell's are bringing us, precipice of collapse and irrelevancy. But I believe in America. I believe in what America represents, land of the free, home of the brave, promise for a better future. The Democrat Party and Ernest Bell's and people like him are destroying it. The world needs a strong America. So we've got to stop Ernest Bell's. We need strong leaders to take bold action, stand up against destructive policies. We need strong leaders to take bold action, to stand up against the destructive policies of the left that are leading us to ruin. Our fundamental freedoms are being stripped away from us. We must fight for our freedom. We can and must stop Ernest Bell's on Super Tuesday, March 5th, 2024. If you want to come and pray for our nation, we have services midweek, Wednesday night, 7 o'clock at King of Saints here in Cleveland, Texas. But what we need to do is we have to vote before March 5th, 2024. We need to decisively defeat Ernest Bell's during early voting. And then the election day is going to be just a mopping up operation, right? We've got to get this guy out of office for the sake of our community. We have to stop him now. Put an end to the reign of terror of Ernest Bell. Send him packing. He has no leadership skills. As I said before, he doesn't represent us. He doesn't represent the Republican Party. He goes over there. He lies to us. Oh, I'm a conservative Republican. And he goes and votes Democrat in Austin. He needs to help be held accountable. And we need to put an end to his political career. This is a chance for us to save our House district and our counties in this House district. Put an end to his reign of terror and create a new era of opportunity here in House District 18. So please don't vote for Ernest Bell's. Vote for me. I'm a worthy candidate, and I'll be a servant of the people and do what I can to benefit, not myself, but the people and our interests here and the counties in this district. So thank you, and God bless you.